Hey everyone! Today we're going to be talking about antecedent behavior consequence, or ABC data. We'll start by going through the purpose and the components of ABC data, and then we'll walk through the data collection sheet and discuss some examples. Okay, so now to talk about the purpose of ABC data. So the purpose of collecting ABC data is to give you and your team of therapists a better idea of why your child is engaging in challenging behaviors. ABC data tells us what activity they were involved in, what happened right before the behaviors, or the antecedent, and what happened right after the behaviors, or the consequence. Knowing why your child engages in challenging behaviors will help us create an appropriate plan for your child. Alright, now let's talk about the components of ABC data. So there are three main components, and the first is the antecedent. The antecedent is what happened right before the behavior or behaviors of interest. Common antecedents include placing a demand, like do your homework or pick up your toys. Not providing attention, so maybe you had to leave the room and go make some dinner or do some laundry. Or taking an item away. So maybe your child was playing on an iPad and their sibling took it away from them. The next component is behavior. Here we're interested in the challenging behavior or behaviors that your child is engaging in. There are many different forms of challenging behaviors, but some examples include crying, screaming, aggression, destroying property, running away, or self-injury. The last component is the consequence, or what happened right after the behavior or behaviors of interest. When most people hear the word consequence, they assume it's something bad or negative, like being put in timeout. When we talk about consequences, though, we're just talking about whatever it is that happens right after the behavior. This could be something good or bad. There are many different possibilities for consequences. Common examples include removing a demand, so telling them they don't have to do their homework right now, or they don't have to pick up their toys. Giving attention, like hugs, high fives, comforting them, talking about them to someone else, talking to the child about their behavior, arguing, telling them to stop, or physical reprimands. Or giving them an item, such as an iPad, food, something like that. So once we have identified a typical antecedent behavior consequence pattern, this gives us a better idea of why your child is engaging in challenging behavior. Remember, once we know why they're engaging in the behavior, we can create an appropriate plan to help decrease that behavior. Now let's walk through some ABC data together. In this example, the antecedent is the parent placing a demand, do your chores. The behavior is the child screaming, crying, and hitting the parent. The consequence is the parent removing the demand or saying, okay, you don't have to do them. Based off this example, we can assume that the child is screaming, crying, and hitting in order to escape or get out of the chores. Now let's take a look at the data collection sheet. Alright, here's the ABC data collection sheet. Don't get alarmed by all the boxes. It's pretty easy to fill out. I'll walk you through each section of the data sheet, then we will go through two different case examples about how to fill it out. Okay, so as you notice, this data sheet has many columns. Each column represents an instance in which challenging behavior occurred. You can record one or many instances from one day. Alright, the first box on here talks about the date, time, and adult initials. The next box is about the activity. As of now, we have free play alone, free play with siblings or peer, meal or snack, transitioning, bedtime, homework, hygiene, or other. You can fill in something else there. The next box talks about the antecedent, or what happened right before the behavior. As of now, there's no attention, toy or food removed, request denied, instruction or direction given, sibling interaction, unknown, or other. Next is target behavior. As of now, there's 3 written in, but the one that we send you is going to have something specific to your child. The last box talks about the consequence, or what happened right after the behavior. As of now, we have verbal or physical attention provided, redirected to an activity, toy or food provided, instruction or direction removed, verbal reprimand, physical reprimand, conversation about the situation, instruction or direction continued, ignored individual or walked away, or other. Keep in mind that these may change depending on the datasheet that we create specifically for you and your child. Now we're going to walk through 2 different case examples about how to fill out the datasheet. This first example is going to be about this little girl. So this girl was playing with blocks with her mom, but her mom told her that she had to leave and do some chores. So the girl kept playing, but then she started throwing the blocks around the room, ripping papers, and hitting herself in the head. As soon as her mom heard this, she left what she was doing and ran into the room. Her mom then gave her attention and told her to stop doing what she was doing. After that, they had a long conversation about her behaviors and what the mom expected in the future. Now let's walk through the datasheet and how to fill it out for this example. Alright, the first thing you do is add the date, the time, and your initials. Next, move to the activity section and look which one applies to the scenario. We know that the girl was playing alone because the mom had to leave to do chores. Now let's look at the antecedents. We know that she had no attention because someone left the room. Nothing else applies here, so we'll move on. Alright, and her target behaviors were property destruction and self-injury. Now the consequences. We know that the mom came in and gave her attention. After that, they had a conversation about her behavior. Notice that you can check or fill in multiple boxes on the datasheet. It's really whatever applied and what happened in the scenario. Alright, this last case example is about a boy on his phone. This boy was watching videos before family dinner. His dad came over and took the phone, to which the boy started swearing and hitting his siblings in the head. After this, the dad came over and blocked his son's hands and then returned the phone. Now let's talk about how we would fill out the ABC datasheet based on this example. So first, you would fill out the date, the time, and then your initials. Next, you would go to the activity section to find out what activity was happening in the scenario. If you look at the list, you can check meal and snack time and transitioning. Now let's look at the antecedents. We know that the toy, the phone, was removed. Now let's look at the target behaviors. The boy engaged in aggression and swearing. Now let's look at the consequences. After the behavior, we know that the dad came over and provided attention and also provided the phone back. Alright, so we just finished talking about our 2 case examples and now we're done talking about ABC data collection. If there's any questions you have that this video didn't answer, feel free to reach out to UK ABA for more help.